Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Erin, as Sadie said. I'm the Outreach and Volunteer Engagement Specialist and also kind of your point person for Volunteer HQ right now. And I put together a guide so that you can learn a little more how Volunteer HQ works from a user side, from a volunteer side. That way, when people are coming to you and they need volunteer hours, this can be another resource in your pocket for finding those volunteer opportunities and helping them navigate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And feel free to pop questions in the chat, and then Sadie, if I need to stop and answer something, just flag me down. So, okay. So Volunteer HQ, let me first show you what that looks like. So when you first go, you'll want to go to uwbroomevolunteers.org, which is similar to our website, uwbroome.org, but just with volunteers at the end. And this is the landing page that you'll come to. So as an introduction, so this is my information if you ever need. I'll share this recording and I'll share this guide with you so that you have it. This is my information if you ever have any questions. Volunteer HQ is not the most user-friendly all the time, and so I'm happy to help navigate. And then there's also another help page if you ever just need to scroll through information. So we've put together this guide to help find volunteer opportunities and also introduce you to another tool to track volunteer hours that's built into Volunteer HQ, given the new SNAP requirements. Just to start off, there's some helpful vocabulary to know. So Volunteer HQ is kind of our colloquial name for this volunteer database, uwbroomvolunteers.org. It's run by a company called Get Connected or Galaxy Digital. So emails sometimes, like automatic emails, can come from no reply at galaxydigital.com. That's not spam, that's from Volunteer HQ. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. So in Volunteer HQ, an organization is called an agency. So just be mindful of that language. Can be a little tricky if you're first coming in and you're not familiar with it. So when someone's looking to volunteer, they'll be volunteering at an agency. An agency manager is someone who's running the page for that agency. They would also have a user account. So Volunteer HQ works pretty similar to to Facebook, where you would have your own user account and then you get access to a page. So someone can be a volunteer and then also gain access to run like the Red Cross's agency page. So agency managers are generally the best contacts for an organization. And we'll talk about how to find contact information as well. We call volunteer opportunities needs, basically because an organization has need of service or of something. So it's called a need. People will be searching for needs. And then a user would be anyone with an account, whether or not you are just a volunteer or a volunteer and an agency manager. And then responding to a need is what we would call volunteering for it. So when you say that you're going to go volunteer, you're responding, and I'll show you how that works exactly. And then the last thing, an initiative. So in Volunteer HQ, there we have the ability to group different needs or volunteer opportunities by the type of volunteer opportunity. And so that grouping is called an initiative. So if you're familiar with our day of action, um, any volunteer need that falls under that would be in that initiative or day of action. We also have a long-term needs initiative, so things that are ongoing, and then short-term needs initiatives are any needs that are short-term or single event type things. So yeah, so we'll start with how to get started. So when someone is coming to Volunteer HQ for the first time, uh, you'll generally sign up and it will bring you to a separate landing page. This is new. I don't know why they did this, but Galaxy Digital is bringing you to a separate page. You'll see Get Connected by Galaxy Digital. The link is now different. So what you would have people do is fill in their first name, last name, and email address, postal code, and create a password. Those are the only things that are absolutely required to have a Volunteer HQ account. Um, you can still browse volunteer opportunities, you just can't sign up for them without an account, which is why we want people to be able to have their account, which is where you can track the hours. So you'd have them put in this information and then you click create an account. And then it would go through a verification process. It would send you a code and you'd enter the code. It would send a code to your email. You'd enter the code into this Galaxy Digital page. Um, and then that would be your verification. So you'll see, again, we click sign up, we entered in our information, and then we verify our email. And then the next thing that would happen is I won't go through it because I have made an account already, but this is what it would look like. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So after they verify their email, they'd come here back to uwbroomevolunteers.org. You can see the link there, bringing them back to our site. And then they can add more information about themselves. They don't have to, though. This is the only required information. This would all be extra information. So they can put their phone, they can put their address, they don't have to. They do have to agree to their privacy policy and agree to receive emails because that's how they're going to get reminders and confirmations about the things they volunteer for. So that's kind of the last required step when creating an account. And then after that, this is more of the kind of like helps guide, but you don't need to do it. So you can select your interests. There's a couple different ways that volunteer needs are categorized, and you can search by them, and Volunteer HQ can recommend based on these different themes, but you don't have to choose them. You can just click continue to next step at the bottom of the page. And then you'll go through a couple more pages of customization that is also not necessary. You can just keep clicking continue, or the client can customize if they'd like to. And so then they would have an account. So I'll just log in. Let me go back to, there we go. So I'm going to log in because I have an account already. I'm going to use this account because this will have just the volunteer view. So this is what your volunteer will see when they're logging into their account for the first time. So you can see there's a snapshot area where you can see their total hours. It calculates an impact value, which is kind of cool. You can see need responses, which is the number of volunteer opportunities they've said, yes, I will volunteer for that. Doesn't mean they've actually completed it yet. It just means they've responded to the need. We'll get into that a little more. So this is just a snapshot of someone's account. And when you want to start searching for volunteer needs, let's see what you can do. You can browse all the needs or volunteer opportunities posted by local agencies or organizations. So you can either click on, there's a side menu that helps you navigate, or there's also this top menu that helps navigate. Some of the things go to the same place. So you can either click needs here, and that will bring you to a listing of everything that is on Volunteer HQ. Every need that's active and not privated is here. And then you can go through all the pages. Let's see. You can also click volunteer up here. It'll bring you to this page. And so you can also, if, for example, sometimes people will call me and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for something in particular, and then I'll go search for them and I'll tell them, hey, this is a volunteer opportunity that's available. It's from Volunteer HQ. You can go find it there. So I would either send them the direct link to that opportunity, that need, or they can also search for it here. So for example, if I was looking for the mental health volunteer, I could search for mental health and it should come up. Yes. So we have this, and then sometimes other things will come up depending on what's in them. Um, so you'll find your volunteer opportunity that way. You can also sort by whether something has been posted recently or older. Usually the more recent ones are more updated, and sometimes organizations will just post something and then forget about it. So the older ones, sometimes you won't always get a response, but the newer ones you should. Um, you can filter by different categories. If an agency hasn't put in those details into their need, then it doesn't help. So my suggestion is just to look through all of them and like have your volunteer just look through every page and see what stands out to them. That way they're not missing something that they could be a good fit for. So once you find something that you want to volunteer for, you click View Details. So we're going to click View Details on this need. And then this shows me everything that should need to know about this need. So it tells me that this is an ongoing need, so it's something that's kind of just happening long term instead of on a specific date. It's 5 to 10 hours a month. It's posted by the American Red Cross of Western New York, and they've categorized it as medical. So sometimes they will put a specific category on it. You've got a description here, and you've got the location that it will take place. So when you read through something and you say, yes, I want to do this, you would click respond. Sometimes you can respond as a team, but for this purpose, we would be responding as an individual. And so then they come to this page, then you would just review the details. You say, yes, this is me. I want to do this volunteer opportunity. And then you can add some notes like, I can't lift more than 50 pounds, or like, I have some materials that could be helpful for this. And then what you do is you click Submit Need Response. So until you click this, then the agency won't get a notification. You have to come to the second page and then click Submit Need Response. So you just got to make sure. There's a lot of that with this website where you come to a landing page and you don't see the button you need until you scroll down, which is a little difficult. But just scroll through the page if you can't find what you're looking for. Sometimes it is just a blue button at the bottom of the page. So, um, so this is what we just did. We clicked respond. This is the agency that's posting it. And then you click submit need response at the bottom. And then what happens directly afterwards is you get a confirmation. Hi, Erin, thank you for your interest in volunteering. It gives you the details of the event or volunteer opportunity. And it will also send you another email confirmation the day before, I believe, the volunteer opportunity as a reminder. So this is another thing. Some Volunteer HQ is really built for people who check their email or like have an active email. So that would be something important to note is that if someone is not on email and is having difficulties with that, then sometimes the best thing to do if they really need volunteer opportunities is to use Volunteer HQ um, as a way to search for volunteer opportunities and find contact information and then connect with the agency directly. But the best thing to do would be to have them make an account with their email because then they can track their hours. Then the agency has their contact information. So the best thing to do is be able to make an account. But if someone is really not able to use their email for whatever reason, I will show you also how to just find contact information for an agency. Okay, so important things to do before volunteering is, of course, we want the volunteers to be working with you guys to know what documentation they need from the organization. So they might, I'm not sure if they might need more than just, tracking the hours. Um, so first step. Second step is make sure that they have the contact information and are in contact and confirmed with the person who's running the volunteer opportunity. Sometimes that's listed, sometimes that's not. You'll see here, um, there's no specific contact. You might have to go to the agency page here, clicking on it, and see that this is a contact for the American Red Cross. For other needs, sometimes there is a contact listed. Let's see, I think we're thinking about we'll find some. Sometimes there is a contact listed. Like sometimes they will have something like this within the need, and sometimes they won't. Let's see if there's one in here. So yeah, sometimes they'll put the need here or the contact information in the details. Sometimes there will be an agency or a site coordinator listed. So important for them to have contact information. And then the third thing we want people to be aware of is to track their hours like pretty soon, as soon as they can after they volunteer. That way they remember how long they volunteered for, if they volunteered for extra time. Um, and also when they go and track the hours, the organization can remember that the volunteer was there and can approve it. So we'll get into that later as well. And we touched on this a little bit, but how to find contact information. Ideally, after you respond to a need, after someone signs up to volunteer, the organization should reach out to that volunteer via email. But the world is not perfect. And sometimes the contact information is not the most updated for a specific need. So sometimes you have to go to the organization itself. So if they don't respond within a few days, it's good for the volunteer to follow up with them or you, whichever is appropriate. So to find the contact information, you can either search Google and see who's the most recent contact, or like call the main office and ask for their volunteer coordinator, something like that. Or you can go to Volunteer HQ. Let's see. Anytime you want to come back to this page, you would just click Dashboard. This is your main dashboard. But if you're looking for contact information for an agency, you come over here to Agencies. See? And now you have all of these agencies. And let's say, oh my gosh, the Red Cross hasn't reached out to me. What do I do? Who do I contact? Search for Red Cross. Here they are. There's a very silly thing. If you click, it seems intuitive to click this blue button in order to open the agency's page. Don't do that. That just makes you a fan of the organization. It's kind of like just following them, and then you'll get an email notification when they post something new, which is great, but doesn't help you when you're just trying to look at the agency's page. In order to do that, you would actually just click on the icon. So this white part of the box, click that. And then here you are, you're at the agency's page, and you'll scroll down, you'll see there should always be contact information listed. They're required to have that on here. If it may not be updated, if it's an older organization that hasn't posted recently, in which case then you would go to Google, but otherwise, here is contact information. I'm gonna stop there just for a second. Does anyone have any questions? I don't have the screen pulled up. Let me just see. Anyone have any questions while I'm here? Nope. Okay, so then I will continue. Okay, so you found contact information. Again, you can search for it, clicks the search button, click on the white part of the agency's box, not the become a fan button. Um, Also, if they're wondering like, oh no, I don't remember where I'm supposed to go, like where can I find these people? The address should also be listed there. And here are the details is where you'd find the contact information. So yeah, those are some basics for just knowing who to contact when you are trying to volunteer. And then we come to tracking hours. So, let me just close out some of these. So again, after someone volunteers, we want them to track their hours as soon as they can. Even if they're volunteering at an organization that is not on Volunteer HQ. So there is a way to track hours. Like let's say your local church or mosque is hosting volunteer events and they're not on Volunteer HQ. You can still track hours through Volunteer HQ, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. But first, we'll do um, how to track hours after you've responded to a need that's posted on Volunteer HQ. So what someone would do is they'd come to their dashboard, and at the top of their dashboard is add hours. So they'd click that. And it automatically scrolled you down, which is nice. So to this hours type section. This is a mini menu within my profile. So in order to track hours, you can either click add hours or you can view profile and it'll bring you to this part of your profile where you can, see what your profile looks like. You can edit your profile. So if they need to update phone, email, anything, they can add availability. Uh, they can add a lot of information in here. The third thing is to track, the third menu item is to track hours. So if you either go through view profile or you can click add hours at the top here, and that will bring you to adding hours. So if you've responded to a need, um, you would scroll down this section. If you haven't responded to a need and tracked any hours, this is going to be blank. So I haven't tracked anything yet. Um, let's see. Are these hours in reference to a need you responded to on the site? So if an agency has posted a need and you responded to it, I made a little test one. Yes, I responded to this agency's need on March 5th. And so then it then will like populate the hours. So for this agency's need, there was automatically 1 hour. Maybe you stayed later and you did 2 hours. You can enter in two. You put the date that you worked, and you can put miles traveled. I'm not sure exactly how that populates. It's not required. The only thing that's required is selecting the need and then selecting the date and number of hours worked. You can add +1 hours. That's kind of more for us to say like, hey, look how many volunteers we had. Basically, if they brought someone with them to volunteer, they can add that in, but that doesn't help that extra person in tracking any hours. That just tells us that there was an anonymous volunteer. So, well, the only thing that your client would need to do is say, yes, I responded to something within Volunteer HQ, or no, I didn't. I volunteered outside of Volunteer HQ, and I want to track that. So, this is what it would look like if they responded to a need in Volunteer HQ. And I'll just show you here. Let's see. So yeah, so they'd fill out this section and then they would click submit hour entry. And then you'll see once they do that, that they will have hours pending approval. So then what will happen is it will send me a notification as like Volunteer HQ's manager. And then I can reach out to the organization and say, hey, this person submitted hours. Did they volunteer for you? Can I approve them? Um, and I'll get a response and then I'll approve the hours. And then um, you can see they'll turn like they won't be orange, they'll be like a light green, white, to say yes, that these hours were done. So that's what would happen if you volunteered through Volunteer HQ. If someone volunteered outside of Volunteer HQ, they would click no here. Are these hours in reference to a need you responded to on this site? No, it's not. You would still enter the details, the date, the number of hours worked. And then what they would have to add on top is where they volunteer. So if the American Red Cross was not in Volunteer HQ, and I did volunteer for them, I'd put their name in, and then I would get a contact. So again, very important to have your volunteer get contact information from the organization, whether that is through Volunteer HQ or if they're volunteering outside of Volunteer HQ, getting that contact outside. Because we would need a name and an email to be able to confirm those hours. And then they would again submit hour entry. The weird thing about Volunteer HQ is that if you are submitting individual hours, they don't come to me for approval. They just automatically get added to your volunteer hours section here. So once I did, they're called individual hours if they're outside of Volunteer HQ. So you'll see this says individual versus when you're responding to an actual need on Volunteer HQ, it will list my agency's volunteer opportunity, whatever the volunteer opportunity is called, and then the agency, United Way of Broome County. Otherwise, if it's outside, it's called individual. So individual hours get automatically approved. And I'm guessing because they're trying to eliminate a middleman and there is a way for me to go view who the contact is so that I can go maybe approve it or like give you the contact information if you guys need to approve it. So either way, there will be contact information for someone who can verify that this person volunteered. But yeah, so once you submit volunteer hours, then they would show up here and they would look like this. So, anyone have any questions about tracking hours? No. Okay. And then just a thing that just a feature of Volunteer HQ that could be helpful is Volunteer HQ can generate a volunteer resume. So if I have just logged in, I'm in the dashboard. What you can click is either view your full volunteer resume over here, which is not very prominent, or let's see, let me make sure this is what I said it is. So you can either click the dashboard and click view your volunteer resume, or you can view your profile. So like up here, click view profile, scroll down, and then click volunteer resume to open it. Again, it's not the most user-friendly, but this is how it would work. If you need a specific time frame, then you can put that in. So if I wanted this past year, I could put that. I could say I want all my volunteer hours this year or this month or this week. And then I can click go. And it will then download a PDF. So, do, 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 do. So then here's what it's very sad looking volunteer resume because my account hasn't responded to any needs and tracked hours with them. But this would give you kind of an overview of what the volunteer has done, as well as the hours that they've tracked. This is what it looks like. This is how you would do it. Fill in the dates, click go, it downloads. This is what it would look like. They would have the hours listed here. This, for some reason, does not show you contact information, which I think is an issue. I pointed it out to Galaxy Digital. See if they change it. They might not. So again, like if you need to verify hours and they've tracked it through Volunteer HQ, and you're having trouble finding where that is, contact me and I will find the information in their account. Well, let's see. Okay. So that's the big main meaty chunks of Volunteer HQ on the user/volunteer side. Again, it is not the most user-friendly, so I have a little troubleshooting section. Sometimes the menu doesn't appear, and so there's a little button up in the top corner that will make the menu appear, especially if you're looking on your phone instead of a computer, it will condense the whole screen. And so in order to find that menu, got to click the button in the top right of the screen. And then sometimes you got to click a button in the top left of the screen. So the top right would open the section to be able to log in. Top left gives you this menu on the left here. This is how to log in. If someone has forgotten their login information, they can reset their password. I can also reset someone's password. So if anyone has any issues, they can call the office, they can call my number. And yeah, if they have any issues, if you guys have any issues tracking or verifying, uh, or finding a volunteer opportunity or getting in touch with an organization, I am here and happy to help fix any of those things, find the right person to talk to. So they can either reach out to our main number, or I have included my information at the top here. So this is me, this is my office number, and my email. You can reach out to either one. And yeah, I think that's everything. And then also in this guide, if you start at the top, all of these are bookmarks, so you can like jump to a specific section if you need to, and then you can jump back to the top. So yeah. Anyone have any questions? No, I will stop sharing.
All right, we are running this again next Tuesday. Same time, same station. So if you want to yes, Kayla, we will be sharing all the document with you, and we will also be sharing the video. We'll probably pop it onto our YouTube channel, so that you guys have access to it whenever you need to. But yeah, and feel free to, like Aaron said, reach out with any questions. But you know, we're glad you all came. Thank you, Aaron, for posting that into the chat. We hope you all have a great day, and thank you for helping everybody navigate through these new crazy times with all these new requirements, and um, we don't we don't envy you. So, all right. Have a great day, everybody.